Alex Eala had not even played her first US Open match, yet New York was already treating her like one of the biggest stars in the tournament. When she arrived at Flushing Meadows for practice, what should have been a normal training session quickly turned into something much bigger. Filipino fans packed around the courts, phones in the air, waiting just to catch a few seconds of Alex hitting a ball. And that is what makes this moment so interesting. They were not there for a quarterfinal. They were not there for a championship match. Alex was simply practicing. Yet the energy around her felt more like a major event. For a young player entering her biggest US Open as a career-high ranked star, this kind of attention says something important. Alex Eala is no longer just another rising tennis player trying to climb the rankings. She has become someone fans actively travel to see. The Philippines has millions of passionate sports fans, and now they have a tennis player giving them a reason to turn that passion toward the sport. But what happened in New York did not appear overnight. Alex had already spent months building this momentum, and her first WTA title in Washington gave that growing fanbase an even bigger reason to believe. The question now is whether this incredible support can follow Alex from the practice courts into the pressure of the US Open itself. Because if the crowd is already this loud before the first serve, New York may have something very different waiting once the real matches begin. What makes Alex Eala's rise even more remarkable is that the New York crowd did not suddenly discover her this week. The foundation was built throughout an exhausting summer, and it reached a completely different level when Alex captured her first WTA singles title at the DC Open. She did not simply walk into Washington and receive a trophy. She battled through the pressure, defeated Jessica Pegula in the final, and showed the kind of composure that changes how people look at a young player. For Filipino fans, that victory meant far more than another tournament result. It was a moment they could claim as their own. Alex became the first Filipino woman to win a WTA Tour singles title, and suddenly a player who had spent years grinding her way through the tennis circuit was standing on one of the biggest stages with a championship beside her name. That achievement gave the growing fan base something powerful. Proof. They were no longer supporting Alex because she might become a star someday. She had already started becoming one. And the timing could not have been better, because the US Open was right around the corner. Every win brought more attention. Every appearance brought more Filipino flags, and every practice session became another opportunity for fans to get close to the player they had been following. That is why the scenes around Flushing Meadows feel so different. This is not just casual excitement surrounding a promising athlete. It is a community recognizing that one of its own has reached a level that Filipino tennis has never experienced before. Alex is carrying expectations that go far beyond a ranking number, and that can be both a huge advantage and an enormous challenge. When thousands of people are cheering your name, the energy can lift you when the match gets difficult. But it also means every mistake becomes more visible, every loss gets discussed, and every opponent knows exactly how much support is waiting on the other side of the net. That makes Alex's US Open campaign far more fascinating than a simple ranking story. She is entering New York with confidence, momentum, and a fanbase that seems ready to turn every court into a Filipino home crowd. But there is another reason this US Open could become a major turning point for her career, and it has nothing to do with the singles draw alone. And then there is the part of Alex Eala's US Open story that could make this week even bigger than anyone expected. Her popularity is no longer staying inside the singles conversation. Alex is stepping into another major spotlight through mixed doubles, where she is teaming up with Felix Auger-Aliassime. Suddenly, the attention around her has another stage, another audience, and another opportunity to show that the excitement surrounding her is not limited to one tournament or one match. What makes this especially interesting is the timing. Alex is coming into New York after finally breaking through for that first WTA title, while her ranking has reached a career-high level and expectations around her have exploded. Every appearance now attracts more eyes, and the Filipino support has become impossible to ignore. Fans are not simply checking the scoreboard anymore. They are following her practices, sharing clips, talking about her matches, and turning every new achievement into a much bigger event online. That creates an atmosphere very few young players experience this early in their careers. The crowd can become part of the story before the match even begins. Opponents can hear the noise. Cameras naturally follow the player generating the biggest reaction. And Alex has to learn how to perform while carrying that growing attention on her shoulders. The fascinating part is that she has already shown she can handle pressure. Her run in Washington proved she could stay composed when the stakes became enormous. And now the US Open gives her an even bigger stage to prove that the title was not a one-time breakthrough. She does not need to win the entire tournament to change the way people see her. Every competitive match, every upset opportunity, and every moment under the lights can add another layer to the story. But mixed doubles also gives us a unique test. In singles, Alex is the center of attention. In doubles, she has to share the spotlight, communicate constantly, adjust to another player's rhythm, and deal with a completely different style of pressure. If she can shine there while continuing to build momentum in singles, the conversation around her could become much louder. And that is where the real question begins. Are we watching the peak of Alex Eala's sudden explosion, or are we watching the opening chapter of something much bigger? Now comes the part that could decide how seriously the tennis world takes Alex Eala from this point forward. The noise around her is real, the Filipino support is growing, and the confidence from winning her first WTA title has completely changed the expectations surrounding her. But the US Open does not care about hype. Once Alex walks onto the court, the crowd disappears into the background and every point becomes a test. Her opponents will not be impressed by the attention around her. They will be looking for weaknesses, trying to disrupt her rhythm, and forcing her to prove that her recent rise is built on more than momentum. That is what makes this tournament so important. Alex is no longer arriving as an unknown young player hoping to surprise someone. She is arriving with a career-high ranking, a major victory already behind her, and thousands of fans expecting something special. That is a completely different kind of pressure. Yet it could also be exactly what Alex needs. She has spent years building her game away from the biggest spotlight, and now the spotlight has finally found her. Every round gives her another chance to show that she belongs at this level. Every difficult opponent gives her another opportunity to turn attention into credibility. And if she manages to produce a deep run in New York, the story changes again. Suddenly, the DC Open title is no longer viewed as her breakthrough moment alone. It becomes the beginning of a much larger rise. Sponsors will pay even closer attention. More casual fans will learn her name. More Filipino supporters may start following tennis because of her. And the pressure surrounding her will only increase. But perhaps the most exciting part is that nobody knows exactly where the ceiling is yet. Alex is still young, still improving, and still learning what it means to compete week after week against the best players in the world. The US Open could expose weaknesses, or it could reveal another level of her game that fans have not seen yet. If those packed practice courts are any indication, New York is already ready for Alex Eala. Now she has to answer the only question that really matters. When the lights come on and the match actually counts, can Alex turn all that noise into another unforgettable performance? Because if she can, this may not be the moment Alex Eala arrived. It may be the moment the tennis world finally realized she was already here.